Well, hello everyone. I'm so excited to be kicking off another InvictusCon. I'm incredibly excited to be here. For those who don't know me, I'm Ren Brooke. I'm an author, fan of all things Invictus, one of the coordinators for the con, and I'm excited to be here with you, Harlan, at the end of all things.
I'm excited. Round of applause for Ren. Hopefully they can hear that. You can hear that.
If you want to join in on the fun, InvictusCon is a free con happening on the Discord all weekend. There's still open seats for games, and links to the Discord and Warhorn will be in the YouTube, Twitch, Discord chats. I'm sure they all are already. I know our community. I bet $10 they're up there. And speaking of, thanks to our community mods and helpers and Liz, Pi, and Nikki, who have been answering questions and directing people to the right places, all for months now. And thanks to Queen, who's putting all the questions in the Discord and YouTube chats tonight. She's in my Google Docs, so thank you, Queen. And I have to shout out Ash, my partner in crime, and my fellow funds are the command officer to my science officer. Or maybe we're both red shirts. I don't know, Harlan. What do you think?
Not red shirts, gold. Well, red shirts in the new way, not new.
Oh yeah. But we're both TOS girlies, so
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Okay. Before we launch into it, two things. One, there will be spoilers for all of Blackstone, so FYI, all of it, but not for or any of Threshold. And Harlan, we're gonna remember that. And
we can say it. We can say Overture.
Overture. Okay, I didn't know. See, I'm not gonna mess up. You're not gonna mess up. Not even once.
Oh, we're gonna mess up like 5 times, and we're just gonna roll with it. We're gonna have fun. Yeah, I do need to shout out. Ren is slaying it. Huge round of applause. And I do want to say, Ren reached out and was like, "We should we should wear something." And I was like, "Yes, 100%." And I remember, I think it was like the first time I met you. It was in the. I think it was a hangout for Shamers.
It was the GOO cocktail hour.
That's right. And you were like, you looked baller. And yeah, and I always remember, like, this was my first impression of you. And I was like, dope. That's when I was like, oh well, yeah, like let's do it up again. And I'm just trying to match your level of class. I'm trying to play catch up.
You look amazing too. You really do.
I'm fine.
Fine, I guess. Second, I want to tell the audience about a recurring bit we do called 8-Ball. Patrons don't get excited. Arthur's not dying today. Sometimes there are questions Harlan either can't answer because of spoilers or would rather leave up to the listener to decide. But instead of not asking the question at all, we will be consulting the 8-Ball for an answer, and we'll see what the 8-Ball has to say.
Shall I give them a sample?
Yes, please.
Larson was actually named after Gary Larson, creator of the cartoon The Far Side.
That's an old one. I got new ones this year.
Okay. That's just a fun fact.
That's just a fun fact. I don't want to leave people with nothing.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so I think that's everything, and I think we're ready to launch into it.
Party and bullshit. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. This is going to be a retrospective one. Bart asks, what's your favorite part? What was your favorite part of Blackstone, all of Blackstone to write? And Seer of Time asked, what are you most proud of accomplishing in Blackstone? So maybe like one writing one and one non-writing one for your favorite accomplishment for the whole series.
All right. Great question. And thank you, Queen. I see what we're doing now. Okay.
Yes.
What was your favorite part, and what are you most proud of accomplishing in Malevolent Blackstone? Man, my favorite part is we're going to go, this is just a blanket statement. This is tonight only. Like, this is, you ask me next week, who knows?
Right.
And I'll say, especially when I know that, I'll say tonight only, just so like, you know that I might change my mind in the future.
Yes.
But for tonight only, I can say probably the wager, I think, is probably my favorite part. And then tonight only, going on the back of that, I honestly think writing the song The Wager, something that I never thought in a million years I would do, in terms of like doing anything musical. Because even when we started, the music was done by somebody else who was a friend, because I didn't think I could do music. And then having that envisioned, which was with a different song, which I probably talked about before, but if not, we can talk about it later. And then being like, well, I'll just write my own, and then having it come out the way it did. I'm extremely proud of that. Not necessarily for like where it will stand in the annals of like history of Malevolent, but for what I was hoping to accomplish and what it achieved. I felt really proud of that moment. I thought it was really cool.
Awesome.
Great question.
Okay. Lexus asks, at what point did you have the ending for Malevolent decided? And Scotty similarly asks, you started talking about there being 6 seasons in Blackstone in season 3. How do you map out a story that will take years to tell?
Again, both great questions. I will say, I decided different shades of the end, right? Like if we were to say, when did I decide that John and Arthur would make it through and that I wanted to do more stories with them? I would say that was, season 2. I just knew there was so much. I even said it to people at the time. Season 3 is when I solidified it, but I even said it to people at the time, just close friends. I said, what I'm going to do is once Malevolent, this is wrapped up, I'm going to do like 1.5-hour specials that just drop to show their life in the future now, because I knew I just wanted more of them. I think we all do. Well, the haters can go hate. But so in terms of like how that would end, season 2, the more detail you get, the closer to, if we're talking about even as broad as Kane being the big bad, I would say maybe mid-season 4 to the end of season 4, because Lilith sort of had a more predominant role. But as her character developed and I sort of saw her in different shades, I'm a very exploratory writer. I write going forward as I'm uncovering the story as I'm writing. A lot of people hate that. I love it. It's like the most fun way to write, in my opinion. So, who was the big bad? Maybe the end of season 4 type vibes, the lighter, like how the lighter would come into play. Chapter 297. You know what I mean? Like it gets more minimal in terms of the choices as we get to the ending. And then how do you map out a story that takes years to tell? By being adaptable, by being able to be like, well, forget all that, and just kind of being excited about what you've chosen or what the patrons have chosen. So, I had like my vague outlines. Season 4 would be New York. Season 5 would be the past. Season 6 would be the dark. And I knew season 6 would be sort of 3. I wanted to do a triptych. I wanted to do the Dark World. I wanted to do Arkham. And I wanted to do the Dreamlands. And they sort of got, like, Dreamlands ended up being just a little shorter, and the Waylay kind of got incorporated. So, but there, I know, I always remember Ren is good. I don't want to spend too much time on each question, because Ren's always like, let's go. So I'll remember. So that's
You felt the energy. Yeah,
I could see staring daggers. No,
no, yeah. How dare you answer the questions that everybody's here to have you answer? But similarly, Yami asks, so when did you first come up with the manager in this kind of nebulous timeline here?
Yeah, it's interesting, because I think the manager came about in a very similar way to how Kane came about. And as we all know, or as lore fans know, Kane came about when I was sort of backed into a corner. The manager was a little bit of an inverse of that, in terms of like, I knew I wanted a figurehead to be, having these machinations behind the scenes. I knew I wanted somebody, but I didn't want to define him too early on for my own writing style, because I didn't know what would be the most interesting thing. I did know that there wasn't, and I think you even knew, and I can't remember when I told you, you could probably tell them, that Kane wasn't the last Nyarlathotep.
Yes.
When did I tell you that?
You told me during the season 4 or 5 interview that I cut.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was pretty early on, and then obviously before that I knew because but it was a pretty nebulous, like, here's what I want. It kind of crystallized as the manager and all that stuff because I don't know, probably just I think it first appears in the Witch era, because Arthur wakes up in the Waylay, and I just knew I wanted this sidestep of a place, and then the manager sort of just fell really beautifully into that. His characterization came later, but as a point of light to sort of work towards, the outline of him was more or less always there once I knew Kane was the villain.
Mm-hmm. Another one that addresses the adaptability of the series, from Lucky Clover. Was there ever a chance for Arthur to die earlier in the series, even before the witch? And would we have gotten information about the Waylay at that time?
Yeah, so the specifics of the way, and I'm kind of glad this didn't happen actually, because I think the Waylay wouldn't have come about in its formation until it appeared. Like, Arthur died on the boat through bad choices. They rushed the gun carrying cop and died. And I really Deus Ex Machina the Wraith. And I was just happy to be like, okay, cool. This will be like, and that was really a teaching moment for me to be like, okay, I need to put save points in this game. To be like, make sure that I have my bases covered in case they make a fatal error. I also realized, well, if I'm writing the story, I can just avoid a fatal error again, because it's stupid to write myself so strictly into a corner. But realistically, had I not thought of that, yeah, I would have bet it wouldn't have. I would have bet the Waylay wouldn't have existed. I probably would have created the Waylay's purpose in a slightly different way, probably somewhere within the dark world. I would have just invented a new pantheon where it's like, well, those who go to the dark world without XYZ, we would have had this. Because well before the Waylay, well before Kane was decided as the villain, the dark world was probably the most defined thing out of anything in Malevolent, because it had been a place that I'd visited in personal games, Invictus games, and as well as just a sort of a catch-all dreamscape that I've always appreciated having for games, because I always like the idea of, like, when you die, it's not over and it's not hell, it's something different. And that's why the first episode of Malevolent is called The Dark World. So it would have just been a very different version of that. The Waylay is a beautiful blessing based on how long I got to kick that idea down the road.
Abigail Snow asks, was Kane always going to be the big bad?
Yeah, I think I kind of answered that earlier. I would say yes. The truth is I did have secret intentions for Lilith to be more of the big bad, but I think that was just because I didn't. And again, there's a great example in Threshold that I can't talk about. No, I can talk about, because we all know Faro is going to be in Threshold. And
right.
And here's what I want to say to sort of answer this in a roundabout way. I have had Faro's characterization in my head for so long. I know how she talks and how she walks and how she looks and how she thinks and all this kind of stuff. Just because that's, every time I would write a thing around Arthur, I knew kind of where I wanted to take that character in my mind, So, but until I got there, until I got to write Faro's lines and got to have Joe, the lovely and talented Joe, voice the character, I really didn't know how it would work. And I even wrote a piece of music for Threshold, the first episode, which is out now on Spotify if you want to listen to it, called Watching Faro. And I wrote the song and I was like, I'm picturing the scene and I think I know how it goes, but I didn't write it yet. And it was all kind of on faith. And that sort of is exactly how I had Lilith. Is like, I knew how I wanted her and I knew how she was going to work into my story. But until I got there and started writing her, and the introduction of her in the Dark World helped define her role in the story. I was like, earlier than that, I would say, writing her in the chapter where they're sitting by the fire. I think it's called, no, it's not the fire. It's called, it's the one after, right before the wager. whatever that's called. 49. No,
Yeah.
50.
No, 50. Wait.
50. Wait, no.
Liz, don't kill us. Liz.
The purpose. Thank you. The purpose. It wasn't until writing her in the purpose that I kind of really discovered her character, and I was like, this isn't the villain. This is sort of a reluctant antagonist friend in a way. But I still sort of got to remain true to her character, and we see that in the Dark World because she's really, vitriolic, but not without love. So to answer your question, Abigail, not really. But when I kind of fell back on my haunches and saw the characterization of Cain, I realized that was the clearest character that I've already established as the villain. So sometimes the characters write themselves, and Cain's a villain.
Yeah. Cain wasn't going to let you write him as anything else.
Yes, exactly.
Pi has a great question about Cain. Darkness has represented many things, both external and internal, for Arthur and John to overcome. When Cain is a being of such immense darkness that he cannot perceive even the lighter, what is Cain's darkness?
In the sense of like, what is his failing? Like, what is his weak spot?
Well, yeah, or just thinking about how darkness has represented a lot of things in Malevolent, like, yeah, our fears or our failings or our weak spots.
Yeah,
or,
I think, I put it this way. I think Cain is, and the thing I love about writing in a world that is about the unknown is that there are so many things that we define that require no definition in the realm of the gods. Like, to think about Cain as a being that would have darkness is sort of fundamentally against Cain's existence. He is, in his base core, a mass of flesh that cannot be touched by human hands. Like, it's just so abstract. He puts on the human suit because, as we sort of find out in the end of the show, he sees a need for a god to these godless in a twisted way, which is so funny. I love his final revelation where he's kind of like, and I think Arthur even says it, he's kind of like, you ironically are like the best god because you're not indifferent. You kind of want to help the world in a very twisted Cain way. So he doesn't really have darkness in that sense. The inverse of his darkness is just his being. He has, and there is no light that he would fear. He's just kind of that. But he does have blind spots, as we see. And I think that hubris, obviously, that pride, that 3D chess move that Lilith plays on him, where it's like, it's not just knowing her father, but it's knowing what he would do and how he would react to something that allows her to sort of, formulate his undoing. That would be, I suppose, his weakness, the inability to comprehend that somebody could comprehend him, which she does.
But that's so interesting because it's like, when people anthropomorphize or humanize, it's usually for good traits, but in this sense, it's humanizing even bad traits onto something that cannot be anthropomorphized or humanized, which is so
and it's always a line, right? Because when writing for Cain, there is an element of what he wants to be as a human. Like, there are, he does choose to walk around barefoot in a suit. This is not just something that he chooses at random. This is eons, thousands of years of walking amongst humans and seeing not a need, because that's too noble of a goal. It's just seeing a hole in these pathetic creatures that he can fill happily and give them what they want. He doesn't really see it that way, because even the idea of giving them what they want, even that thing being horrible, wouldn't really fulfill him. He sort of twists it and makes it what he wants. But yeah.
Okay. I can't ask follow-up questions. Okay. Kara Cup Jester said, the idea that Arthur would be the one to use the lighter and defeat Cain seemed like such a given at one point. Although Arthur did help in this process in an invaluable way, John was the one to sneak it in his pocket, and Lilith was the one who trapped Cain. Why was it important to you to have both Lilith and John take on such a large role in defeating Cain instead of it just being solely Arthur?
I want to shout out Carrot Cup Juster, first off, for asking this question. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say thank you, Carrot Cup Juster, because I don't think they're asking this because they don't know. I think they're asking this because they want me to have an opportunity to say it. And I really appreciate that, because I think those who have been following the story know exactly the answer to this. And those who are writers amongst us know exactly the answer to this. It's because to have characters like John and Lilith not matter in the end undercuts the whole point of the story. And moreover, especially with John, his arc at the end, which upset a fair number of people, was about him embracing himself, which had for so long been a point of division within himself, where he didn't want to, encapsulate the horrific, monstrous qualities that he saw in his former life. He refuted them outright and couldn't see himself as that. And to finally, through his conversation with Arthur and Arthur's sacrifice, to embrace that, and then further to have the opportunity to become the king once again and refute that, meant that his journey needed to have a role in the finale, because otherwise all of that would have been unnecessary and stupid. To do that and not have him use his powers to solve it would have been bad writing, from me at least. So yeah, I mean, when you have a character go through a journey the way John has, his contribution to solving the problem at the end of the story needs to be one that is informed by the journey he's taken. If John, for example, if John's contribution at the end to defeat Cain was the same John that would have done it in season 1, episode 1, then that's bad writing. But John in season 1, episode 1 would never have A, projected because he didn't know he could do it, B, put the lighter in Cain's, pocket. He never would have contributed to any of that. So, and the same with Lilith. Lilith would have happily just let Arthur rot and hit the ground with a splat. But
and she tried.
She did for a bit. And then the journey she took in understanding humanity through Arthur's eyes, through the eyes of someone who has dealt with loss and pushed through it, made her realize that there is something worth saving, or at least leaving alone. So thank you for asking that, to give me that opportunity at least.
Hydrist asks, though Addison is far behind us, Larson's death has left some mysteries in its wake. The identity of the dead old man in the bedroom, Uncle's origins, etc. Are there any pieces of his story that you mapped out but never had the chance to reveal? And can I personally bribe you into revealing them now?
So many thoughts. Okay, so first and foremost, the best thing about certain aspects of the show is because it is sort of vaguely run like an RPG. You guys have choices about what paths you follow. And just like an RPG, information is there and tantalizing. And if you don't follow those leads, you don't get those. So on the A answer, to reveal that information after a failed choice undercuts the importance of making the right choice. So no bribe. B answer is, when you are running a chronological game, the things that are not acknowledged in the player's journey can be reused, either deconstructed and reused, or brought up as later plot points. So you also don't want to give them away.
Yeah.
Listen,
I honestly thought that there was a chance that you would straight up 8-ball this question.
No, I think it's a really good question, and I do like, I literally have a family tree of Larsons that I did. I think I've shared it.
Yeah.
Where I like have, like friends and stuff have seen it here and there, because I do think, it's more fun and more believable when you enter into a scene of an established, canopy of storytelling, and you just get to see one. It feels different to walk in and the writer only write that circle of information versus walk in and only be revealed that circle of information, but the writer has done more. I do think you can kind of tell a difference as a listener and a reader. I just think, I don't know, that's just a personal opinion. But and then the last thought of it is, it escaped me. I just had it. He's a Larson story that are mapped out.
Well, too bad, because we got to move on. If you think of it
Yeah,
later.
I'm sorry. Damn it. There's another thought I had. But anyway, there was a C, but I'll come back to it. It'll come back to me in a second.
Just at Hydros Discord later. Okay, Will asks, since Yellow's introduction, him and John have acted as both foils and complementary for each other. Can you talk more at all about what each character's ending in Blackstone signifies for them and what that means in regards to each other?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's no surprise at the division between John and Yellow at the end. And again, I wanted to, and I should say the final end. We see them in a moment of unity as they become one in the Dreamlands, and then we get to see them put sort of the hostage situation with Kane. And where it comes to John, well, you know what? Here, when it comes to John's ending, listen to Threshold. When it comes to Yellow's ending,
I think the answer is tomato.
And not untrue with the red.
With the red. 8-ball knows. Yeah. Fractals asks, when John and Yellow fused, there was a strong emotional reaction from the patrons. When creating a weekly releasing show, how do you deal with the reactions people and conclusions people make based on what is currently released while you have more information? Are you ever worried about your audience's trust in you to tell the story? How do you deal with that?
Yes. And that was awful. It was an awful week. And I can't stress enough how difficult it is to have a piecemeal story like this, especially one done, it's not like I'm releasing a comic book, like I'm releasing literally 2 pages of a comic book. Listen, I can get behind people jumping assumptions and being like, oh, well, this character's now gone. I can get behind that. I understand that. And the emotionality, frankly, is a compliment because people are so connected. What I really dislike, there were a lot of people that got, argumentative, I suppose. And a little bit, sulky about it. And then a lot of canceled the patrons and a lot I got a lot of messages that were very heated during that time. And, people writing me messages being like, I can't believe you do this to my character, blah, 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 blah. And I think what's frustrating is it sort of backs you in a corner where either you reveal the information that you don't want to because you're just fucking wait, or you have to sort of be like, cool, great, and just feel bad that someone is actively being like, hey, I don't trust you. So, and even further, there was a time, I remember this is a while ago, back when I used to go on Tumblr, which I don't anymore, I've learned, where I added everybody and I was like, listen, trust me, I wrote this thing, all these characters that you love, they're mine, don't worry. And I remember someone on Tumblr being like, the ego of this man. And I was like, I did, I am, it's all, I did write the character, that's not ego, that is the truth. Either way, listen, I'm not perfect at it by far. All I can say is I can use this opportunity to say the same will happen in Threshold.
Yeah.
Trust or back away. And listen, that's good too. If people are like this is too much for me, I need to take space. That's fine. That's totally fine. But come back, because I'm sure at the end, and I remember it when John lost his memory, and I remember, man.
Oh, yeah. It's happened quite a lot. Oakley asks, one of the more interesting things I've noticed in creative spaces is how outside perception of a character can differ from a writer's view of them. Have you found any fan perceptions regarding the characters in Blackstone surprised you in a positive way? If so, who/what were those perceptions about?
I've mentioned this before, and I'm going to be even more firm now. I don't read fan stuff ever, because, and I maybe before would have seen this and that. Even images that don't depict the characters in the way I'm seeing them, I usually try to avoid. That is not to say people shouldn't be writing, shouldn't be drawing them. I love all of it, and I don't think I have an analogy to explain it really that would kind of make sense, because I think anything I could say would kind of hurt people's feelings, and I don't want to do that. But I think the long and short of it is I stay away from that stuff, because it's not the characters I have in my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's
Well, and
tough.
you've said before that you don't want things to influence you either.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the worst case scenario would be me seeing something that I love and then feeling like, oh my God, I wish I could do that. Thankfully, that hasn't happened yet. Because even with, like, some people talked about a Faroverse a long time ago, and I was like, well, I have my own ideas. But anyway.
Just wait. Black Amber asks, what are your thoughts about Detective Noel as a character, and why the hell is he so cool?
Parker Truthers unite.
I mean, that's apt.
Parker versus Noel fight.
Yeah, I mean, Noel for sure. It just would be my thing, but yeah.
I did have a follow-up question about, like, I want to talk about what makes a character cool to you, but we don't have time for that. But just know that I wanted to ask.
I want to
ask. But you can't. So anyway,
I'll do the other ones really quick. Okay, what makes it cool to me? I don't know. Unexpected. I love when things feel against the norm, against the societal expectation, where they sort of cut through the bullshit. Cool characters to me, I don't deny. I think Detective Noel is cool. I think Kane is cool. Oh, that was my C point on Larson, and I'll just say it really quick. And I've said this before. Fandom sometimes thinks they know what they want out of a character. But I think you got to trust the writer to give you what you want out of a character, because I guarantee people would be like, I want to know all this stuff about Larson, but that would make him less cool. And that's exactly the same thing about Noel. It's exactly the thing about Kane. There you go.
Hell yeah.
Less is more for cool characters.
Very, very true. Sure asks, speaking of less is more, what memory did Noel write on his slip to forget before going into the order meeting?
Oh, definitely intentional.
That's really good. That's really good. I have a follow-up to that one that's probably going to get 8-balled also. Now that we're post series 1, I can't believe nobody asked this, by the way, audience. Is there a chance of hearing what would have happened if we'd voted to forget Faro or John?
No. I think, yeah.
Kevin Costner.
We would have gotten Kevin Costner? God damn it, we should have voted to forget Faro. That would have been so worth it. All right. That is the end of round 1, and we're gonna do a lightning round now.
Done.
Lightning round, you have to answer as quickly as possible, and 8-ball is gonna be, highly yes.
My hands over the
8-ball. Ajax asks, what D&D classes would Kane, Noel, and Lilith be?
Kane would be a jester. That's not a class. Like a rogue trickster. A trickster. I don't know what that is. What were the other characters?
Noel?
Noel would be a fighter, a paladin.
Lilith?
Lilith would be a sorcerer.
Yeah. Inky, did Arthur really need to eat the rock, or was Lilith just messing with him?
Probably Gardettos.
Raph asks, will Roland and Charlie's pasts as Arkham PIs be expanded on?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Naira the Cryptid, how is Yellow doing after his color palette change?
Why do I always get this question? The truth is I forget.
Not true, but good enough.
Flea, what part of Arthur's eyes are yellow? Is it his irises or his pupils, like in the Threshold trailer?
Irises. The Threshold trailer is like very cool, amazing. I love it. But because I didn't want to reveal too much, the girls worked off of like vagaries. That's why it's like not raining in the. I can't say things.
Yeah.
We all expected to be,
Yeah. Milo, do you think Arthur would adopt a cat?
No.
Aliena, no animals, no pets. You guys, they'll die.
Gun is a pet. Jesus, get over it. Joking.
He's not joking. Aliona, what specific part city of England is Arthur from?
Avocado toast.
It's under
Avocado Toast, England.
Shire.
That's where Marvin lives. Axel, is Yellow still corrupted after Kane's defeat and the destruction of the Blackstone?
Do you think I am a fool?
That's apt.
Will, what is Oscar's last name?
Not in this timeline.
Oh,
No, he is.
Baguette, do you ever think about giving the names or full names for characters we don't currently have full names for, i.e. Parker's family?
No.
Andy, what season cover art is your favorite?
Ooh, that's a great question too. I think too, like, listen, Rob is talented as fuck, but something about 2 is just, and 2 actually has different like variants, like slightly color different. And Rob is so talented. Please follow Rob on Instagram.
Yes,
Desk of the
please.
Captain or Dead Pixels. He always, I can't remember which one.
It'll be linked in chat.
I think 2. I think 2 is just brilliant.
For my money, what he did for Tales from the Dark World,
Yes,
really
well,
fucking
that's metal.
rules.
I mean, that's like
It's
metal.
As
But
fuck.
2
So
has
of
got,
course it's my
like,
favorite.
2's got this perfect balance of like personification, but not like you can see a face, but it's not intentional. Anyway, I love it.
He's so talented.
Yeah.
Okay, Maggie L, what would each character's Pokemon starters be?
No.
Oh, definitely Larson.
Yeah, give him a Pokemon. No.
No, Larson is the starter for everybody.
I love Pokemon. I used to watch it on TV. Shout out, but I don't know any of them, so it'd be a waste of my. I'd be fumbling over answers.
Yeah, Maggie was like, you can choose any generation. I was like, as if that would help.
I love you, Maggie.
Jay, what did John dream about when he had his first dream back in season 5?
Good question.
Yes, but only in the Dark World.
Great question, but like that's that's content I'll mine later if I'm running out of ideas. That's like my list of like, oh, I can make an episode of that or something.
Mm-hmm. Trucy Sholmes, what are your thoughts on people making their own Narlathoteps, like in the case of ENA and Hatsune Miku, where every Nyarlathotep is considered canon?
Don't know what either of those are, but I am not the first person to make their own Nyarlathotep. Yeah, listen, I'm like the last. The whole concept of Nyarlathotep is that they change face. So yeah, of course, I'm not the expert on that.
Chat, that Hatsune Miku reference was for you. Mickey the Cat, in episode 56, The Parting Glass, what was the butcher singing?
Oh, The Parting Glass.
Oh, there you go.
Did no one know
that? It's probably on the wiki.
Of all the money I've ever had. Everyone should know The Parting Glass. Oh, it's a song? Did no one know that? That's the title. I am blown away. Okay, a few people knew that. I thought that was obvious. Wow. No shade. I'm just blown away. That's great.
There you go. Well, I'll have to go listen to it afterwards.
The Parting Glass? It's like a huge. Okay.
It's like a traditional ballad, right? Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Well, you're in Canada, which has stronger like people in the US don't know Irish ballads as much as people in Canada know Irish ballads.
I suppose that's fair. Wow. People saying no is really funny.
Yeah. Okay, Luna Maria, why did Arthur leave England when he was 17?
Oh, I mean, opportunity,
Yeah. Marvin asks, if you could describe Arthur's character in one word, what would it be? E.g., mine would be Marvin.
Handsy. No. I mean, I love Marvin. I want to answer this. I mean, clever.
One word. Yeah.
Well. So yeah.
Complicated.
Why'd you have to go and make? I would say, yeah. I would say, no. Clever is more for Ro right now. I would say.
Yeah. Right now.
I'm gonna say hopeful.
Yeah. Burger, what made you decide not to have Arthur fall down into a pit in the Dark World?
What made me not want to have Arthur fall down into a pit in the Dark World?
Yes.
That's not a real question. I'm gonna press the button.
Consider that this question is loaded.
Yeah, kind of.
Autumn, have you thought about what the nightmare realm that Lilith and now Cain are trapped in is like?
Retconned.
No, not retconned. But don't worry.
Don't worry about it. Jay, will you ever make a cover of Peggy Gordon like you did with We All Go Together When We Go?
Yes, people keep telling me to. I will. But you know what I want to do? I want to like hire a band, like to do a nice. Here's what I'm
Nice.
going to do, and I probably would need to like Well, no, I don't want to kickstart. I'll just do it. I'm going to like hire a session band for the one song, get into like a studio, have them play, sing the song live. You know, take the best take, and I'll sell that or whatever. Because I would not want to do it half-assed.
Yeah. Roses of Envy, what software do you use for music composition?
Ableton.
Sure. What does Arthur taste like?
No. I should have a
You've
silly
heard it
question.
here first, folks. Season 6 of Malevolent isn't the end.
Now they know that. I should have a silly button. I should just say it's gonna be a fart sound when when a question's silly. I'll go.
You're being silly. Fable, is there any in-canon reason why Cain knew when we all we all go to
No,
Yeah.
no in canon. No,
Okay.
I think
they were just like, it's just vibes.
yeah, it's just vibes, and also like I think the anachronistic nature of the show, as we've talked about, Cain is ever present, omnipresent. You know.
Carrot Cup Jester, if you could bring any character from part 50, The Company, Antoine, Roderick, Alia, Everard, John Wayne, into Threshold, who would it be? And what would that character do?
I loved Antoine's voice, but he was too. Oh, this is lightning round.
Lightning.
Roger.
Okay. I use a Kane asks is there any possibility of a crossover episode with another podcast?
I pitched one to TMA and they said yes, but they said just not right now. So yes.
Antoinette, what are Marie and Oscar's life's looking like after Arthur's departure? Do they miss him or reminisce about him?
Malevolent X is officially canon.
Kind of.
Ajax, what was the creature at the weird farm in the Dark World? Patrons voted not to approach it, but what was it?
It was an awesome creature. I don't know. It was just a weird creature. Like I didn't have its stats. I can't remember. I had a name for it, and I think I told people the name. This is the lightning. It has a name. I don't remember. I'm gonna look it up. Lightning.
Ren, who's that, asked, do you still take into account Arthur's stat of gain mythos, enables understanding of mythos-related things, aids insanity loss from season 1?
Yes.
Graham, this isn't even about Malevolent. This is about the broader world. Was the entity impersonating Father McCready in Sabine Laval's backstory in Witch's Mark the same as the man in the ashen suit from Grimm?
Yes, probably. I don't remember. Yes.
That seems like something you would do, especially back yeah.
Grand questions can't be lightning round. I need to think on them, but I'll say
yes. And then finally, Marvin again. If you could describe John's character in one word, what would it be? E.g., Ren's would be, I must ask Marvin's question.
Baby. No, it would be in Threshold or Blackstone. I don't in Threshold, energized.
Oh, yay. Okay. That was our lightning round. We did good. We did good there.
Was I mean? I didn't mean to be mean.
No,
Who's
no,
I
no,
mean
no,
to? Let me apologize.
No.
If I was mean to anybody, I apologize. Lightning makes me not think. Listen, I mean I just mean a silly question. I don't mean like a mean silly. I mean like you're being silly. Like know you're being a little silly. I don't mean to I don't want to demean you because I love your questions. Thank you so much. And if I didn't answer your question because I said it was silly, I apologize. But
some people now that 8-ball is a thing, some people are have put in questions that they know are going to get 8-balled, so it's okay.
That makes sense. But I'm next year I'm gonna have a silly goose question, and it's gonna be a goose sound. Ha. Silly goose. Okay.
Goose. Yes, I like that a lot. Okay. This is a new bit. Sorry, I'm hearing. Okay. New bit. It's called Tin Hat's Red String Can't Lose.
Whoa.
We've got.
Okay.
These are some like deep cut.
Where's
Tin
mine?
hat.
We're supposed to coordinate dress, and you're wearing this. I don't even have it. Not fair. Let me up.
These are some like hardcore. These are your likely suspects.
Bring.
These
Liz.
are you nailed it. Okay, so if you're just a casual listener or watcher, now might be a great time to go grab a drink, go take a bathroom break.
This is gonna mean nothing to you.
Yeah. Okay, but I will say,
there I have my silly goose sound effects now.
oh, I love that. No, I got to keep wearing this. Okay,
Yeah.
we're starting off big. Liz asks, Liz, I told you I was going to add this question. There are at least 2 timelines represented across Malevolent and the associated Call of Cthulhu campaigns that preceded it, in which some of the stones seem to have appeared in both timelines. The stones have recently been established to be unique artifacts in the multiverse, with only one of each existing across all timelines. How did the gray and crimson stones appear in multiple timelines?
I cannot tell you in good conscience yet, but soon, perhaps. Maybe
Yes.
series 4.
These are like serious 8-ball questions of like, I can't tell
I love
you
it.
yet.
Listen, I love it. And the ones that would make sense and not eat the rest of the time, I will definitely answer.
Okay. Dank
I
Arthur.
would need images for that one. I would need like a whiteboard.
Oh, yeah, for sure. This is one that a bunch of people asked in a bunch of different ways. But Dank Arthur had the most succinct one.
Dank Arthur.
Yeah. Yeah. Are we repopulating the multiverse with more Arthurs and Johns with the choices we're making in Threshold? Or will Arthur stay unique in the multiverse?
Avocado toast.
I thought maybe I'd press that one already, but that's tough. Anything, I mean, Blackstone and back I would answer, but Threshold, I mean, there's room there. I gotta start,
Mm-hmm. Alan asks, what about part 60's polls? Does the briefness of Arthur 300B's existence count as a separate Arthur?
Oh, that's an interesting question. No. I mean, listen, there's the world of Malevolent, and then there is our world. You know what I mean? Like, in my mind, if I ever did another Benevolent, it wouldn't necessarily be a different version of Arthur in the Malevolent canon, because I still want to have space. Like, let me do a bad example. Out there's like an audio where I'm going like, girl boss something. I can't remember the 3 words. Gaslight, girl boss, whatever. That's not a version of, you know what I mean? That's just a funny Harlan bit. To me, 300Bs is for those 14 people that decided that they wanted to end the show there. It is not, it is canon for them because their show's over, but it's nothing to do with my story in a way, my like timelines.
Yeah. Zero asks, are there any other Arthurs who made it as far as our Arthur, or did they all die from the ritual in season 1 and or get killed by John before they could get past season 2?
I was getting sick that week.
Not really, but I can't answer all that. That's some meaty territory.
Mm-hmm. Doodlebug, does Kane appear for any of the alternate timeline Arthurs or Johns in part 20 or forward, or did he only approach our middle C Arthur John directly because our Arthur's the only one that's special like him?
I mean, yeah, he did, but like, well, again, is that interesting to know? I don't think that makes the show any better.
Yeah.
Questions like this, I sort of want to, I may answer them, but like, yeah. So if that makes it better, then I'll answer more like that. But to me, I don't know. Makes it less
well, and I think there's a difference between, obviously he approached some Arthurs to make them into his orchestra and his outfits and in the benevolent Arthur, but like, did he approach them like our Arthur? Yeah.
My logic was like, there was a, like a whittling down, right? Like Kane's introduction to Arthur in 20 specifically because of what Lilith did to Arthur is unique. But like, that doesn't mean that Arthur wasn't pushing him into the pit, you know, at different points or like helping him out. Like, I imagine there was a version of Kane, like standing next to the moss, or like, you know, in the boat being like, I'm an old sailor, help me, son, and just like that, destroying him for fun. Like, you gotta understand, we're talking about infinite timelines. Like, if I was Arthur, or if I was Kane, and I would have so much fun. Just like, we'd have a montage,
Scooby-Doo villain shit,
like knocking on Arthur's office and be like, I'm out in the hallway, and then the minute Arthur turns his back, just cutting off his head and laughing to himself, and then turning around and then snapping his fingers, and you know.
Oh,
That's series 5. So
I love Kane so much. Okay, Moss, what happened to the entities bound to all the other Arthurs that John killed in the Dark World? For example, the entity Eric. And I have another question about entity Eric, so don't get into that yet.
Okay. I mean, same answer. I mean, you know, a lot of these entities ended up in and I think what's kind of nice about John's arc is different entities ended up at different points where we saw John, but just with different paths. Like, for instance, there may have been a world where the king in yellow got split from yellow, reunited, and then ended up staying there. You know what I mean? Like, that's an example. It's not necessarily specific, but like the idea of arcs that we saw John take, there were variants where he didn't choose to do that one thing, you know? Yeah. There is an armful Oscar out there.
Can you, Nero asks about the entity Eric, who is he? Can you give us anything about who Eric is, referenced in part 55?
So Eric there's a line, because someone asked, in the Bone Temple scene where we get a flashback and there's an older Arthur that comes to John, and that Arthur says Eric, like meaning that the name was just different. Yeah, I mean, there's no specific details about him. You know, it's like Waluigi. You know what I mean?
Well, like, this is the tin hat thing of people being like, is it connected to the other Eric? Like,
yeah. You know. I mean, I think you can sort of guess that based on the lineage that they have and a baby named Eric Stanzik, that John probably took the name sooner than he did in the other show, in our show, the prime timeline. Yes, it's Eric Stanzik. Is that what we're asking? Yes, it's baby Eric.
Yeah.
Is that what we're asking? Yes.
Nikki and Alan both wanted to know if you mentioned in the post season 6 Q&A that you had meta plans regarding the Booth entity, but then you changed your mind. Will you share anything about those plans since they're no longer going to be playing out?
I mean, I could, but it would be, no one would enjoy it. No one would hear that and go, oh, I think I made the right call. Ultimately, the meta aspect of the show that would have impeded on the patrons, I firmly believe would have made everybody, especially patrons, less excited and less interested. I think ultimately a lot of that came about understanding what the show was. You know, this is a show, as you mentioned earlier, where originally I had the idea of like adding stats to Arthur. You know, we have dice roll, we have the crinkling sanity paper sound, you know what I mean? Where I thought this could be a fluid character that sort of has, you know, the patrons decide his path. I think a few things have really changed. Number one, the amount of patrons just make that way less interesting. Like, what I mean to say is, you know, when it was 15 people making a choice and then there was a result from it, you know, could you imagine losing out, you know, to 51% of a skill that you know or that you feel in your heart would have like made the show so much better? You know what I mean? So that aspect kind of got shedded away. And then along with the idea of Arthur being a fluid character that patrons would write, so did the sort of role of the Booth John become less, or the Booth entity be less important to that. And I think that's all for the better. Yeah. And I think anyone who kind of knows would agree. And ultimately, it's not worth knowing because it's not that interesting.
Can you confirm, just a simple yes, no, or 8-ball, did those Booth entity plans have anything to do with Yog Sothoth?
No.
Because there was chanting at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to get to Hydrus's question now about Yogg specifically.
Okay.
In part 8, after John reads out the name of the king in yellow, there's a quiet chime that plays and whispers the famed chant, past, present, future, are all are one in Yogg Sothoth. Paired with the Dunwich horror-esque nature of the mind monsters in Addison, was Yogg ever planned to be a greater part of the narrative before you settled on the Blackstone route?
Any answer I'd give would be a lie.
A lie by omission is
We dealt with this. No, don't bring that shit back up. The recent Patreon choice.
No.
There's a very big difference. Anyway.
There's a huge okay. Pandora. Since it seemed to be implied that when they went back in time to French England, Fringland, if you will, that it was not the same timeline as the one they started in or ended back in, does that mean we don't have to worry about Horrig since he's still in that timeline?
Listen, the Horrig plot, and I've talked about this, I think even last year, or maybe the year before. No, it would have been last year was season 5. It was sort of meant to be emulated like a season 2 episode. Like there was a season 2 episode where they like step on a monster egg. I don't even remember it. And it was like there's like creatures or whatever. And it was just sort of like it kind of left. You know what I mean? I would give the same answer to someone being like, hey, is the mama of that creature gonna hunt down John and Arthur? It's like maybe, but also it's like probably not. It was meant to be more encapsulated. And I think this speaks, frankly, I think one of the realizations of this, I think it does speak to my writing. I think it's a compliment because I think I ended up becoming so much more focused and stronger as a writer that when the Horrig episode came out, people were like, whoa, this must have bigger meaning.
Yes.
Yeah. Realistically, I kind of meant it as a fun, because the Horrig Patreon choices were all jumbled, and it was more meant to be a kind of a game for the patrons than it was meant to be part of the larger pantheon. Now, does that mean Horrig won't come back? Absolutely not. It's a cool character. It's a cool thing. It could be the main plot of fucking series 7. I don't know. But at this point in time, that was the intention behind it. I would just say always worry about Horrig.
Don't tell them to always worry. That's
I think the patrons need to worry more, frankly.
Oh God. Okay. Dualumia asks, approximately how much time passed for John in between Arthur dying in the Dark World until Arthur's resurrection in the Dreamlands?
I was getting sick that week.
And so was John.
But honestly, it's meant to be nebulous because I want it's similar to our Faro's age. Another question I've been asked a lot. I know 2-year-olds that are very capable. I know 4-year-olds that would, sounds awful. It's because I'd have to drown in a bathtub. But my point is, I keep it vague for like specific reasons. I think any minimum maximum that you have in your head is probably accurate.
And then finally, for the Tin Hat section, from Fable, if timelines are messy, is there any version of Arthur that sees the 2000s?
I mean, any version of Arthur that sees the 2000s? No. I mean, yeah, whatever. That's fan fiction. I mean, yeah, write it if you want it. I'll say this. I have no interest in seeing Arthur in 2000. Like, even if he was like jumped there the way I did with medieval England, like to me, and I don't want to shit on any fan writers because I think someone could find a story there that is awesome. But for me, and it definitely as a writer, I would be so bored writing that. I would be like, oh,
You're not a modern.
It's not. I mean,
setting.
modern has its place, but could you just Arthur TV is like so fucking.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, what? Sorry, I don't know if there is any fan fiction of like modern, so I don't want to be too mean if there is, but
there's things called modern AUs, but well, I haven't read the fanfic in a while either, but there's a difference between a totally different AU, which is basically Spooky Stream, and like actually timeline jumping. But I think Fable's question was just like, is there any version of Arthur? And like, if timelines are messy, maybe.
Well, maybe this version of Arthur sees 2000s. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to
Okay.
be really fucking old.
We have 30 minutes to ask 19 questions. We can do it.
Oh, we got more than enough time. Are we ending at 8:30? I thought we were ending at 9.
It's an hour and a half, right?
Oh, cool. Well,
Or is it 2 hours? Wait, is it? I don't.
I got nowhere to be. What is it? I mean, we got a stream at 9, and I want to say goodnight to Henry. But beyond that, I mean, like, we can be. You know,
all right.
All I mean to say is, don't worry about. I'll do a few quick, and then I'll be good.
I'm asking Queen. I have Discord closed, so I'm not distracted.
Oh,
If it's 1.5 or 2, because actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think it is 2 hours. Okay, great. We have all the time in the world.
I mean, either way, 19 questions. We'll blow through them. It'll be fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. Although there's some really good ones in here.
Good.
Okay.
Boom. I am quick, Ajax.
Hey, chat, don't troll him.
I wonder how many questions I answered already. Don't tell me. I don't want to know.
Yeah, it's a lot.
5.
Apple asks, what do you think is the most misunderstood aspect of John and Arthur's relationship? And that's changed over the seasons.
Man, I mean, the most misunderstood is the romantic aspect. I don't think anyone would deny that's probably the most misunderstood aspect of it. I had a conversation just recently with somebody that was like, hey, so like and they listened to the whole show and they're like, so are they romantic? I was like, no, like, and I think it's because the relationship is so warm and affectionate, and it is directly confronting toxic masculinity tropes that I grew up with, that I loved but hated. You know what I mean? Like, I love JD and Turk's relationship from Scrubs, but I hated the constant justification to be like, oh, but no homo, or like, oh, but like, oh, don't do that, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I hated all of the necessary clarifications. Like, just tell your buddy that you love him, and who cares? Like, what is all this? And I love that we're in an age now where slowly, that is becoming less of an issue. But I think there is a major problem, and I think one of the things I am very proud of with Malevolent is I can't point to another show that has such a positive male relationship. You know what I mean? Like, one that really wasn't. I don't see the question here. Is that it? No. Queen hasn't
posted again.
I'm safe. No, I don't see it. I'm being good. I don't think Queen posted this question, or maybe I'm not refreshing. But yeah, I can't think of another show in this day and age that has like a purely no justification needed, no, oh, but we got to go play basketball or whatever. Just look, like they tell each other they love each other. And I love that doesn't need to be quantified. And I think the most misunderstood aspect is the fact that it is romantic. And I don't think there's anything wrong with taking that away from it, or writing AUs, or having the characters be romantic in your mind. And I always want to clarify this because I think that's lovely. And I love if that's exciting for you. But man, if I don't push it purely to be one of the shows standing there being like, hey, there is no need for any sort of clarification or any sort of asterisk. You can just be like, hey, I love you to one of your male friends, and have them say, hey, I love you back, and not need to worry about any other clarification. And I want to keep pushing that because I think that's a really important thing, while also recognizing that fandoms are wonderful.
Yes. And I have a lot to say about that, but we should just do a
I
whole
do.
other...
I mean, I got so much to say about that, but that's like,
I know. We can't get into it right now.
We can circle back.
We can circle back. Anonymous asks, in part 55, John explains what led him to killing all those Arthurs, but why did he choose to build the Bone Cathedral?
I feel like this is a pretty easy answer. Have you ever spent any time bored? Like, I would love to pretend that there's a more meaningful answer. But seriously, I love this show when I'm butting up against concepts that are incomprehensible. And this happens all the time because a lot of our life is spent quantifying things that are unquantifiable. You know, that's a human existence. And then you look up at the stars and we are meant to believe that they are infinite, but you try to find a comparable for infinite and there's nothing. You can't say, oh, well, you know, a ruler that would run around the earth. Well, no, that's finite. You need, oh, well, my love is infinite. No, but you can't see that. Like, trying to quantify that is just so difficult. And I think when I think of like endless time and like just, and some media does it brilliantly where you're like, oh, that's exactly what I would do with endless time. And it's such a weird, bizarre idea. I think I love the idea of him being like, yeah, that's a thing I will do, you know, just a fun, a fun creative project because I'm bored. You know what I mean? It's something I would do maybe is the easiest answer.
No, I think that's such a great answer. Yes, there's that. Like, yes, the Dark World was depression, and if you haven't listened to the post season 6 Malevolent Q&A, Harlan gives an incredible answer about what the Dark World represents to him, and a huge part of it is like an acute depression, but part of that is boredom too. Like, yeah.
Well, and I think the nature of the the nature of sometimes depression is that, like, boredom is almost a too simple word to put upon it. It's like that inability, you know what I mean? And like sometimes it's not even about making your bed or like doing the thing that you have to do. It's sometimes you know, it's like doom scrolling, right? It's like,
yes,
building a cathedral is John's doom scrolling. It's like just a thing that brings him joy to root around in the guts of a dead Arthur.
Yeah, he thinks it's giving him serotonin, but it's
it's not. It's not. Depression is a heavy boredom. Yeah, I agree. You know.
Yes. Jasper asks, if Malevolent was made into a movie or a show, would you want it to be shot through the point of view of Arthur, and Arthur is a faceless character most of the time, or would you want the movie to be filmed in a regular film perspective? I was thinking about that Doom movie with Carl Urban.
Oh yeah, where like this. I was thinking about Peep Show, which is like,
oh like, yes,
which just made me laugh to be like, Arthur, I can't believe I have to walk down this street. Anyway, it would be a regular film. Not Peep.
What other choices would you make if Malevolent was made into a movie specifically? Like, what kind of vibe?
I can't answer that or I'll be in trouble.
Yeah, you will. Yeah. That's very true. Yeah. Burger asks, did you consider having John and Arthur meet any other previous side characters in the Dark World?
Great question. I love that. Yes, many. I was like, man, because the options were infinite, right? Like, that's the whole point. And we have infinite timelines. Honestly, it was more about like, oh, who would be like, I knew I needed the Butcher. That was my number one must have.
Yes. Another thing cut out of the Malevolent Q&A season 5 because I was like, so Arthur and the Butcher are clearly,
and to meet again. I originally intended, or sort of had the fleeting thought, I should say, to have Kellen be in the Frederick role, because but then I just didn't fit. And I think anyone now looking back is like, oh, that's a good call. And same with a lot of the things I choose not to answer. Like, pause with me for a second, everyone, and be like, imagine if Kellen was Frederick, right? Shooting at him, blah, 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 blah. It wouldn't really pay. It wouldn't felt very good. You know, that's a lot of the answers to the questions I get asked. It's like, whoa, what would have happened if the entity did speak to the patrons? Like, well, it would have paid off in a way less satisfying way. So sometimes, and this is a great example of like sometimes you want to know, but it's better not to, because like that wouldn't have been, not that I think it would have been awful. I would have made it work, but it's just so much better as a different character. Yeah, there were so many characters that I wanted in the Dark World. It was really just a list of like who not to include, or rather who was most important. No Parker whatsoever would have been in the Dark World. It's not his role. Neither a Noel. No, I had toyed with a lot more side characters because I thought it'd be fun to refresh them before the end, like Eddie, like more minor characters to sort of kind of just like as a bit of a nostalgic before the finale. You know what I mean? Some cultists, stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Queen wants to know. She knows the name of the creature from the Dark World farm. Can she share it in chat?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, I sent it to somebody, obviously her. I think I posted it.
Yes.
What
Okay. Dual Lumia asks, what abnormalities would you say are currently present regarding Arthur's body, such as how the stone that Arthur swallowed integrated inside him, anything special due to being born from a tree, or how John's influence might affect various organs and bodily systems?
Oh, the name of the creature was a groomer, by the way, which I'm happy to report, which I liked, because he groomed the land. He was like picking up skulls and crushing them.
Oh.
Great question. What abnormalities are currently present in Arthur's body? Weird question, I should say. I'm going to answer this in this way, which I think is what you mean, which is like what kind of scars have lasted. So he's got the scar from Cain, the neck, and he's got the pinky, which is now on the opposite hand, we've decided. But beyond that, I mean, his internal organs, we don't know yet. He hasn't had an X-ray. You know, they weren't very common. I don't even know.
I think the stone and the tree bit but those are like things to play with in the future, I expect.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. His kidneys are fucked. Yeah. I think again, like that stone isn't really a stone, right? Like,
right.
You have to understand this is a creature like blessing something, touching something, however you want to call it. Again, you're trying to quantify an inquantifiable. You know, the important thing was it was a symbolic, you know, whether it melted into his flesh, whether it was even a stone at all. Again, it's not worth defining. But no, he doesn't have a stone in his stomach.
Antoinette asks, what would Arthur's body look like if we let the dollmaker take creative liberties with its design? Any special abilities they'd incorporate?
You don't get to know. You didn't pick it. That's the punishment. You get one of these.
Consider that this question is loaded.
I think this goes back to my first statement, which is like, if I told you, how would that be? You know what I mean? Then you get the best of both worlds. You get your cake and eat it too.
There's also an additional bit of answer in the Malev post season 6 Q&A.
Oh yeah, I probably said something else there.
No, it was the same, and then there was a little extra tacked on, which was that
that he had like animal parts or something.
How do we know that? Because I was like, right. Like the body exploded, and you were like, well, no, just the head's gone.
Did that make the cut? Did that make the final cut? Did I say that? I might have. I didn't listen to the final cut. I can't listen to myself, but it's all good. Next question.
Yeah.
It did. So there you go.
Deli Royces and Tony ask if you could replace or change a plot point, scene, or a few chapters, which ones and why?
Well, at this point, I would probably swap out Horig. If I could do a do-over, I'd probably just change that. I would love. Oh man, I'm going to take this as a redo instead of replace. I would love to redo the fire with Malum. I would love to.
Interesting. Why?
It's too samey to the purpose. It didn't do enough. There's a lot I wish, and it's funny because the fire was almost like a redo of, or the purpose was almost like a redo of the fire. I just wanted to do more with it. Fire and I think I had COVID during that time because I remember recording myself.
You did.
So I think those episodes sort of suffered because of me literally having infection. But I would just love another crack at it. I would love to take another crack at some of season 2 as well. Like, as I mentioned, the like stepping on egg bit, and like I really like from basically the interior of the mountain onward of season 2, but the first half I'd love to take another crack at some of those ideas, or honestly just make it longer, because I think season 2 is a short season. I'm pretty happy with season 3. I would love to sort of take another swing at the farm plot line in season 4. I like it. It felt a little bit backtracky. I felt like a bit like they went a little bit forward and fell back, and went forward and fell back. But I love one of my favorite scenes in season 4, and I for some reason I always forget about it. It's like the scene where Oscar's at the bar.
Oh yeah. Yes.
I think that he's at the bar, right? Like Arthur goes into a bar, right?
Yeah, to go get Oscar.
Yeah, that scene. And I even forget it kind of now, but I like that vignette, that image is like my driving force for all of Threshold. Like I just want that type of vibe repeated 100 times over. Like with obviously more meaning to like build up to them and stuff like that. I just, something about that feels really good to me, and I can't quantify it, and I think so far Threshold is. And then in terms of season 5, I mean, now I'm getting too into it, but yeah, Little Tin Gods, yeah, or the Tin God. Yeah, I'd redo some, but honestly, overall, I'm happy with everything. If the option was like, you know, fix it and do the work, or don't, I would say don't.
Yeah. Well, because I was gonna ask, like going back to season 4 could probably be feasible, because that wasn't too long ago. But as a writer, trying to go back to a season 2 when you were such a different writer, you were such a younger writer, and you can't just like revamp one thing, then you have to revamp everything.
It has to be a whole, yeah, you're right. I mean, because I think 2 or 3 years in, I kind of remastered the first few episodes, especially the pilot, just made it a little tighter, where the radio turns on and all that kind of stuff. And I did a few voice lines different because John sounded so different, and my acting and for both of them was just so different. And I couldn't do that. Even now, trying to go back to one again would be too jarring. They've sort of nestled into their sort of slots in terms of their characterization and their voices, which I think is important, frankly, because now, you know, we all know how they sound. And I much prefer how John and Arthur sound now versus how they sound in the early episodes anyway. So,
yeah. Roses of Envy asks, after finishing season 5's The Wager, the composition, did you have a plan or intention to create another large musical work for Blackstone? You ended up doing it, but did you have the intention after you finished up?
No. When did I end up doing it? Which part?
In season 6, like you ended up having some compositions.
A murder song?
Yeah, like
now that was more like karaoke, I guess. To me, no. The Wager was like and I mentioned this, I'm sure I mentioned this before, but my original intention for The Wager was to use the Adagio from Spartacus by Kachatarian, Aaron Kachatarian. I can't remember his name. Big name with K's. It's one of my favorite musical pieces of all time. And for a long time, I was like, I think I'll just do it and ask for forgiveness. It's funny, now I probably would risk it, but the risk of timing everything to a piece and then in 5 years them pulling it wasn't worth it. I was like, you know what, I'll just do it myself. I think I talked about buying the rights, and it was very expensive, and I was like, not worth it. So I ended up just doing it myself. But this is the question. No, I did not have plans to do another large musical. Do I have plans for Threshold? Not right now, but I mean, I do have plans to make more music for Threshold. I already have, and that feels really good. Is watching Furrow, like I said, is out on Spotify. I'm like pushing it like I get a fucking, like benefit from it. I don't. I just want people to hear it because I'm proud of it. Well, that's not true. I mean, I get like 2 cents or something when people listen to it. There is like a thing, but that's not why I'm pushing it. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to be creating more music. I have no plans for a big, large number again, but maybe I will.
Altea says, "Hi Harlan, as a musician, I'm fascinated by the fantastic use of music and sound design in Malevolent. At what point in your creative process does music come in? Do you have a specific sound in mind as you create new scenarios, ambience, and characters, or does the music come into play when the writing process is already complete? Thank you."
Great question. I think, without thinking too much, because they will slow this down, I believe I write almost all the music before, save some exceptions. For example, there's new music in Overture and there's new music in Threshold Part 1. The music in Overture is scene setting. It's not like I would never release it. Well, not never. I don't plan on releasing it. It's more just sort of piano. It doesn't really have a like a, oh my God, what is it called? Like a you know, not a narrative, a line, like a melody. It doesn't have like a melody. It's sort of just dissonant, repeated themes. And that happens a lot in Malevolent, those kind of things. So if it's like kind of a dissonant, repeated theme, it usually comes after. But I would say for the majority, like The Wager, like Watching Faroe, like Faroe's Goodbye, like Faroe's Light, those were songs that, not even writing them, there was nothing written for the page. I just was like, okay, the next episode, I know, like watching, or Faroe's Light is a great example, because I knew whatever episode was coming next, I was probably in the previous part. So, you know, chapter 3 out of 5. And I knew in the next part, I would want a beautiful song. And I knew the scene. We all know it now. Probably my favorite scene in all of Malevolent, now that I think about it. That Faroe's Light. And let's lock that in as answer. If anyone's going to ask me, I do think the Lilith piano part with Arthur writing Faroe's Light is, I think, my favorite scene in all of Malevolent. But him sitting there, and I knew I wanted something that was beautiful, something bright. And I sat at my piano and I was just sort of picturing it, and I wrote the song. And then again, hoped it would fit into the scene after. And that was the same with Watching Faroe, which is in part 1 of Threshold. I sat at my piano and I almost envisioned the scene that I wanted to happen. No spoilers, but something happens. And I wrote the song.
Something happens.
I wrote the song as if I was sort of acting, like as if I was watching a movie, like scoring it almost, but it hadn't been written yet. And I wrote it and I was like, yeah. And I did a few variations. I was like, yeah, that sounds like how I want it. And then when I wrote it, I just kind of had faith that it would fit. And, you know, rarely I might have to go back and change a few notes to be like, that didn't work as well. But I think for the most part, because I'm writing it and acting it, I kind of have a very clear vision of where it's going to be used. So that kind of helps me when I'm writing it. But
awesome. For people.
I heard a beep.
Yeah, I think that was my friend's printer wanting to make itself known for
hi printer.
A reason I don't understand. It's preparing data, so
good. It's about time.
It's about time. From who, for who, I am not sure.
Why don't you just print out something like creepy?
Oh my God.
I'm watching you.
That would be honestly the best. Chat.
Is it printing right now?
It literally is, yes.
That's awesome.
I've pressed stop 2 times now.
Watching your partner like trying to get a message to you, and they're like, I know, I'll print something.
I'll print it.
It's just like, you know,
I'm stuck out there.
Yeah, I've been texting you for hours. Well, the printer has a question. Great. Soup sandwich. I love that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, here we go.
It is printing.
Piece of paper.
Wow. Spooky.
Spooky. Too spoopy.
Spooky.
Okay. Well, after that interlude, For people who've never watched one of these Q&As before, and especially younger folks who like look up to you, Harlan, as a creative, I wanted to include this question from Cecilia. When you were younger, what was your journey with getting into music and acting like? Were you in high school classes, outside of school things, or just did you have a general interest in it?
Okay, I'll try to answer briefly. My parents put me into piano when I was younger. I didn't love it, but it taught me the fundamentals, which I highly recommend to anybody who likes music. Learning how to play piano is, excuse me, wonderful. I stopped with the formal lessons, but found once I got into high school, being able to sit down at piano and use fake books, which is like knowing the chord names and stuff like that, was supremely beneficial. And I've always had a good voice and I've enjoyed singing. So I would spend a lot of high school parties banging on the piano and singing, which, you know, boosted my confidence, people being like, oh, this is lovely. And I would say my first big music thing is in high school. There was a class you could take that was music theater. It was like a whole semester, and you would put on a production and you would be assigned a role based on your, you know, if you wanted to go for the lead or whatever. And it was always sort of tough. And, you know, a lot of people ended up moving scenery, and some people would be chorus. And oh, it is someone behind you. Is it someone printing? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was somebody printing.
That's amazing. Yeah, basically, the idea was Beauty and the Beast, or the musical was Beauty and the Beast. And I remember the teachers very specifically being like, we're so glad you auditioned for Gaston because we wanted you to play him. And I played Gaston, and I really fell in love with like being on stage and performing. And that like really had like a bug, so much so that I wanted to do more, but I was too shy to get into it. If I had that piece of me that could audition, that like could do it, I would probably be in 100 more things in real life rather than just on the internet. But that stayed, and then my love of RPGs birthed the Invictus stream, and then the rest is history in terms of that way. But that music fundamentals, going to piano lessons, which made me feel more popular and let me sing and stuff like that, were super, super key. In terms of the acting, I think I just stumbled into it. You know, like when we were young, we'd film a lot of short, stupid comedy videos that were extremely offensive and ultimately, you know, worthless, but were always fun because that was the 2000s and the beginning of YouTube, and that's what you would do.
Yes, 100%.
And, yeah, and then my acting just got better over time.
I think those things with your friends are so important, though, especially because if they aren't seen by anybody, because that's how you learn, like you're saying, fundamentals and basics, and there's no rules, and you're just messing around, and you have to have that exploratory period.
We learned about like coverage shots just by doing stupid skits, right? Like being like, well, okay, I need you to walk into the room now because I just shot you from this angle. Just like caring about stupid stuff like that gives you like fundamentals of like filmmaking and on the most basic level, don't get me wrong, but it does give you that kind of understanding, and that stuff carries with you when you're creating anything.
Yeah. Yes. So create with your friends. I think that's always good.
Yeah. And again, honestly, learn how to play piano. I'm a huge believer in like knowing how to play an instrument. I think it's so. And then I mean, I'd say this. It's so, and I say this knowing Joe is listening because she knows I feel this way. I think it's so attractive and like in every sense of the word, not just romantic, just as a person. I think it's extremely attractive and to show people that you have the effort, that you've taken the effort to like learn how to do an instrument. I think it's really cool. And when I sat down in high school and played my piano, people thought I was cool. I tricked them.
No, I totally agree though. Like I think it shows that you have interests and that you put time into stuff. When I learned Patrick played the guitar, even though it's cliche for a guy to know guitar, I was like, oh, but that's awesome though. Cause you like put time and effort into like learning an instrument. And now we can talk about it. My parents had me in piano lessons too. So
yeah, that's right. I remember you saying actually. Yeah. And Joe and I have always said like effort is one of the most attractive things in a person. Effort. Whether it be effort to learn an instrument, effort to go back to school and study science, whether it be effort to create a show, whatever. Effort, and I say this to anybody in a relationship or out of a relationship or whatever, or not even romantic, effort is attractive. It's so cool.
It is cool. It's so cool. Okay, Anonymous asks, what was it like collaborating with the talented artists on the Threshold trailer?
Oh, I mean, that was amazing. I was so lucky. They, I feel starstruck. Really, Jess, Nicole, and Megan were like, "Hey, we're fans," and it takes anyone who knows them. You just take a second, look at their socials. You see the amount of followers, you see the amount of art, and you're like, "Why are you interested in me?" I'll be honest. There was a time where I was like so waiting for Jess to be like, "Hey, we caught up. Maybe this isn't a good idea. We don't want to do this anymore." Just like I would do something wrong or whatever. But it was amazing. Honestly, I think we both, especially Jess, I sort of say Jess because I think Jess and I were the most talking back and forth, just in terms of like Jess really spearheaded that project. And if you're here, Jess, shout out, you're awesome. Or Nicole or Megan, all of you are awesome. But I think each felt the same in a way, like especially about creating it. Like I respect the fuck out of artists, and I was so like, I don't want to step on your toes. I was like, listen, you guys are doing this. You should do it the way you're envisioning it. Like, don't like, I don't want to. But they were like, no, this is your thing. Like, we want to know what you think about. And so we were both each kind of pushing back and forth for me to be like, listen, because I was always hyper nervous to be like, oh, here's the thing. And that unknowingly creating more work for them and then being like, of course. And then behind the scenes being lovely about it, but being like, okay, well, I got to work extra hard on this or whatever. You know what I mean? So it was just like, but that whole thing was such a dream. They reached out to me. They were like, we want to do this. And we're planning on doing more. I would say my biggest regret is just how lack of vocal I am. They have this amazing little group where they're sharing ideas and stuff like that. And they're like, what do you think? And I'm like, this is amazing. But because I'm not like an artist, I don't have much more to like, I'm like, that's cool. You know what I mean? Yes. Like, and I think I have this real, I am a solo creator. I have butted heads with people in the past because I am a strong personality. I've worked on projects that have fallen down because I, have said the wrong thing or I've been too forceful. That is sort of the rub of the other side of creating a show. When you do everything on a show, it can be tough to like also share share a project with someone else. I will be the first to admit that. But and that's why I was very like careful to not push too much. And the relationship that we have is wonderful. I don't say this in relation to that. I just mean to say I know that I could be that kind of person, so I wanted to be very careful about like who I was. Yeah, you know what I mean. And
yeah, totally.
And, it hasn't always been my philosophy, but definitely a philosophy I've adapted over the last 2-3 years is like, be somebody that can work well with others, because I think that is a really important goal no matter what you do in your life. And yeah, it's not always been easy for me, and I definitely apologized to people over the years, or maybe need to still apologize to people. But at the end of the day, all we can do as humans is learn from our mistakes and try to get better.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, can't be...
wonderful experience.
That's awesome. And if people haven't seen it yet, absolutely go watch it.
Yes, it's on. I think it's pinned to the YouTube Invictus stream. I think you probably could just Google Malevolent Threshold trailer or Threshold trailer.
Anonymous asks, what fan-produced projects like the wikis or transcripts or art, etc., do you find the most useful or cool? And if there's something that doesn't currently exist along those lines that you wish did, what is it?
Well, those are two different answers for the two different descriptors, or two different...
Yeah, two different questions.
Well, what I mean to say is like useful, the wiki. Because I've literally used the wiki to be like, what was that name? Like, what? Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'll say it right here. I will ruin the mystique. I'm like, wait, what color are Lilith's eyes and skin? And like, what, like, just to go be like, right, violet eyes, alabaster skin, not violet skin, alabaster eyes, or a combination thereof. That's useful. In terms of cool, I am so in love with the physical media that has been produced by some of these zines,
Mm.
I am still, not to name any names, but I am silver, whatever, Graham. They're silver. I there you go. See, case in point. Maybe in the dream the skin was violet. Doesn't matter. You gotta understand, I wrote like 2 years before I had to rewrite it. The physical media, and again, not to name names, but there's a tarot card deck.
Oh yeah.
That I supported, and I'm so excited to get. I know it's still coming, so I'm not like, but I'm excited for it. There's a fairy tale zine.
Yes.
Super excited to see and have, and like all of these zines. I just want to put it out there. Like if anyone organizes a fan zine, I'm the first person to buy it. Like I am so not humble when it comes to seeing my stuff on display. I love it. I've even said it because like people will send packages to the PO box. I love getting packages. I don't care whether it's like a half a stick of gum that you've eaten the other half, or like a piece of artwork you've done. I love it. And I recognize how that is egotistical, and Tumblr can get mad at me for that. I totally recognize that. But it just feels so cool. It is like the most, and again, shout out to Queen, who put together one of the best, if not the best, physical representation of that love in a gift for me. I got these 2 beautiful bound books of collages and physical media that people poured their love into, and she collected it and sent it to me, and there were games in there. You have a letter in there which you to remind me of. I did look at it, and then I was like, okay, this I gotta like look and put it back. The only downside is it's so monumental that like I want to savor every, you know what I mean? It's like getting a great of chocolates. You're like, I don't want to eat the whole thing. I want to take a bite every week. But I'm sure there are people out there being like, okay, well, like, tell us what you think or whatever. But anyway, all of this is to say is that I love all of the projects of the fandom, and I especially love the physical ones, especially when I get a version of when I get to buy a copy for myself, because as a dad, it's also really cool to like hand a little book to my son and be like, hey, like everything in there is inspired by something your dad made. And, you know, he looks up at me with little 9-year-old eyes and says, can I play Batman? I said, yeah.
Yeah.
In a few years, it'll really click for him. No, he is so mature. He is so sweet. And I genuinely, my kids and my wife, I like my family is the best in the world. But no, I am so impressed with Henry. I do so much of this for Henry and for Joe and for Marie. I mean, she doesn't know what's going on yet, but when she gets it, she'll be there. But anyway.
Yeah. 2 things. One, I think people would say enjoy the binders exactly how you want to enjoy them. I don't think anybody's waiting for.
Yes, that's
that's
fair.
what people would say.
You know how it feels still. It's like
yeah. But I mean, like, we all are like, I wonder what he thought of my page.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, and I get it. I totally get it. I would be the same way, and I want to do it.
Yeah, but and then 2, like, getting like the dream, right, is that one day somebody makes a fan art of something that I did. Like, that's like such a that's like the highest. It's like, yeah, it's egotistical, but every creator and writer is doing it a little bit for ego, right? And like, the day that I get Locust and Low fan art, I'm gonna lose my mind. Like,
and I want to say I practice gratitude for that exact reason, because every piece of fan art that comes, it feels like the first time I've seen my guys in print, and that's a choice. It's a choice to be like, okay, and because I so love the community, and I so love the way it's inspired people, it's the best. It
is. Tammy Lean asks, do you have any other media inspirations when it comes to writing the world of Malevolent, like towns, characters, eras? So I took this to mean like outside of like movies and books and music.
Oh,
like,
outside of movies? Oh.
Yeah. Like unusual media inspirations. Like, you know, when you are in a town and you're like, oh, this is going into something someday. Or like,
I don't do enough things in real life to like, you're that kind of person. And that's why when you send me stuff, it's like physical stuff you find in stores, and I love it. And you were like, I'm gonna stop sending you crap And I was like, what? Like, why? Like, that's my favorite shit. Like, what are you talking about?
I was like, I
care.
can't, like, he's probably sick of just getting all this junk.
No, it's like my favorite stuff. Like, it's my favorite stuff. I still have the collage kit you sent. It was like the first thing you sent.
Oh,
and you were
yeah.
like, "Oh, this with Henry," and all the little things in there. I was like, I don't want Henry to have this. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's bits of character stuff that like I'll be like, oh, that's interesting someone's doing or whatever. Or yeah, like I would say the closest comparison I have to this is like when I'm a very curious person by nature. When I like here's like, you could go through my phone, open tabs, and there'll be like Wikipedia pages for like murders in 1943 because I jumped off something. You know what I mean? Like I love that. I just love Wikipedia. Like I love going and just being like, oh, that's anytime, like literally there'll be like a line in a song. And I'm like, what's that referencing? And I'll like pull it up and like, oh, so constant little tidbits like that will carry me on. Or I'll just take that. I'll be like, oh, that is such a neat idea. I'm going to take that. In fact, I did that recently. So, oh no, we've reached the Ren and Harlan friendship portion of the Q&A. Fair. All right.
Everybody go. Everybody leave.
That's a soft nudge for them to be like,
yeah. Hey, get on
stop.
Printer update. My friend put that into the printer this morning.
Oh.
And yeah, just now printed.
Like you'd think they get printers by now. Like
right.
It's 2026. No printer works.
No.
That's a rant for my comedy stand-up.
You got a tight 5 on printers. Okay. Quite a few people asked about your character voices. Jasper says, how does Harlan go through the process of creating character voices? What makes you think of doing what you do for each voice you create? And Alex added, as a Brit, I'm shocked at how many accents you've mastered, including my own, and I'm curious how you've learned so many and yet keep each voice distinct. And then Tesseract really sums it up and says, how do you make all the voices sound different? I can always tell what character is talking. How the fuck do you do that?
Thank you. It's a choice. Like I am aware of enough pitfalls of other shows that don't do it, and I don't listen to them, but it bothers me. I'm like, what? Like, why? Like, even do something. You know what I mean? Like, do AR, VR, or whatever. Now, like in the early days, I could just blow through voices, and I wasn't thinking about it. And now I'm like, ugh, I wish I had saved some of these fucking voices. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because it does get tougher. My sort of little trick now is to pick an actor. Like and then try like talk like for a little bit, like 20 minutes, especially while I'm writing, kind of be like, I did like Tales from the Dark World. I did fucking the Australian who had the lisp, Ben Mendelsohn, talks like this. I talk like this while I was writing them. Just like, we'll fucking do it. And like kind of had his like mannerisms, just like kind of try to get in my head and try to like sound like him. And by the time I recorded it sounded distinct. Another one, I tried to do Richard, what's his name from the original Harry Potter. Who died? Oh,
yeah.
Richard Harris. And again, I just kind of like envisioned that and just talked as I was writing it. And like Willem Dafoe is the doll maker, but just a little more like this, So I just sort of pick an actor now and try to, and one with a distinct enough voice, and then just try to emulate them. And the Lilith voice, I just, I do it very femme, and then I have it like, I pitch it down and,
Yeah. Awesome.
No, not Michael Gambon. Michael Gambon's the new one. Richard Harris was the old one.
Lost and Scotty both asked about your writing process after the poll closes. Usually there's only about a 2-day gap between when the poll officially closes and the next chapter releases. How do you go about writing chapters, especially following poll outcomes that flip in the last few moments, hours, whatever? How much do you have planned written beforehand? It's, yeah.
Listen, I mean, I always kind of have a brief when it's far enough in advance, like this one is. I think it's like an 80-20 split or whatever. I've already written it. I've already recorded it. Spoilers. The poll is closed. That's how you get to find out. When it's really, really close, if I'm watching it, honestly, most of the time it's Joe. She'll be like, have you checked the poll? It's like 51. I'm like, ugh, because I kind of think one way and then I'll like, all right. At that point, sometimes I'll write sort of a swappable option where it's not too big, or I'll make it, in the worst case scenario, I will make it something that doesn't matter, and then I will have the choice be something I kick down the road. Meaning, like if they choose something, you won't get the fallout right now, you'll get the fallout in the future.
Right.
But,
Yes.
I don't
Which
like
may or may not have happened recently.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
But the okay. Jill Farrington Sweeney and Pi want to know about Faro's name. Where did Faro's name come from? And Pi adds, why did Bella and Arthur choose the name Faro out of universe horse theming history aside? With Bella's full name being Falabella and the Saltzman's other connections with horses, was it a name intentionally so tied to Bella's family?
No. I mean, you could say out of universe aside, but I mentioned this a few times. That this sort of outline for Arthur's backstory was based on sort of a screenplay that I had done. It's just like a short idea. And I just named all of them horses. Arthur's name was originally Colt or Cobalt. Is Cobalt a type of horse? I can't remember. I think Cobalt
Not a horse girly.
Yeah, me neither. I think it might be a breed of horse, the way Falabella and Faro pony are. It might be a subsect, or it might have been Colt. But I believe if Cobalt is a horse, it's Cobalt for sure. But if it's not, then it was Colt. And I thought it was. I mean, at that point, especially when you're writing stuff in university, you're all like, oh, they're horses because horses get shot when they're wounded, and then, like you have stupid meanings for stuff, and then you grow up and you go, that's all dumb. No shade. It's just like stuff like that is fun.
You can shade your past self.
I just mean to say, when you start sniffing your own, too much, you go down this spiral of like, you're trying to get your intention on people. And sometimes I think art is better left a little bit vaguer, with you sort of saying your piece and letting people make of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's the David Lynch meme of, yes. Will you elaborate on that? No.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Void asks, Malevolent seems to be a project that you poured a large portion of your soul into. In that sense, have there been times in which writing for Malevolent has been an outlet for you to process aspects about your own life through characters like Arthur and John? I ask because my time listening to the show has helped me to heal and grow from a lot of mindsets I previously held that I had never really had a means to properly introspect on prior. And I often wonder if it is just as cathartic for you as the author, if not more so.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Void. And I hope you're okay. I hope you're doing well. Shout out. Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of season 3 was me dealing with a lot of dark stuff. I can't remember when I wrote it, but you in our Q&A pointed out some wonderful timeline connections between the way I was writing and what was happening in the real world. And I would bet, beyond a shadow of a doubt, when I was writing season 3 Arthur's Descent, I was probably going through some personal stuff as well that I was like, I need to kind of feel bad to feel good. Nothing in not in a way that anyone needs to worry about me. I think it was probably just, it might have been the time I realized maybe it was time that I tried to do Malevolent full time and, was nervous about it or something like that. So good question though. All right. How many more? Not because of time, but time is an issue because I have to go to the bathroom.
Just 2.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. Queen wants to know, we know that you don't read fan writing for obvious reasons. Most creators can't, but you see a lot of fan art. Is there anything that you would want to just tell writers, even if you don't read their writing, who express their passion for Malevolent through words? Any advice for fan writers?
No, I mean, the beauty of, thank you for the question, Keith. The beauty of fan writing is that it should be completely, there's like a death of the author type thing. I think that applies to fan writing. Yeah. No, don't, this is the best advice I can give. Don't care what I say. Because if you are touching your AUs or you want to touch in this world, then fuck what I want. Make the characters sexy for each other as hell. Make them
in the 2000s, totally into each other.
Do it. Like 100%, because that's exactly the beauty of fan writing. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, some of the best stuff in the world came from fan writing. I was going to reference Twilight, but that's not the best stuff in the world, is it?
I mean, you know, like Canterbury. What's the one about the devil? Oh my God, it's so famous.
Canterbury Tales?
No, not Canterbury Tales. Oh my God. Well, there's Inferno. Dante's. Yeah, Dante's Inferno is just Bible fanfic.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
And if you want advice for writers, there's going to be a panel tomorrow. Okay, here's the last question from Slate. We saw that Arthur's father influenced his love of poetry, and you've spoken about how Invictus and other poetry have had a big impact on your own life. Are there any poems you love that you hope your kids carry with them as they grow up?
I hope my children find poetry on their own that speaks to them at a time they need to hear it and means as much to them as this plethora of poems mean to me. Because I think poetry is personal. And I think this is a big revelation of mine. In fact, we had a friend over the other day. We were talking about poetry and he was reciting some and I was talking about stuff I like. And he said something along the lines of, you know, I wish I knew more poems that I could just recite. And I was kind of like, why? He's like, well, because it's, you know, it's so cool to do that. And I thought, is it? Because I thought that to me, and this was not me judging, this was kind of a realization moment where I was like, the reason I like Invictus and the reason I love If and the reason I love, you know, all of the poems that are included in the show, more or less, are because when I hear them, they speak to me the way that good art speaks to somebody, you know, and there's a wonderful universal nature to art that a good piece of art can speak to many people, but the relationship you have with that art is still personal. And I can read Invictus to Henry, and I have, and hope that it connects with him. But at the end of the day, I don't care if it's Invictus, so long as he finds something beautiful that moves him. And if it ends up being the kind of art like Invictus is to me, that is a shining star for which he can sort of guide when he feels weak, when he feels like he's failed, then all the better for it. And if it's just a beautiful piece of writing that he loves, then that's great too. And I say this not discounting Marie because she's the light of my life. I just say because I read Invictus to him and I haven't done it to Marie yet. So
that's a really good answer. And I'm glad that you're the parent and not me, because I would be like, all right, here's the textbook, here's the curriculum that we'll be going through, and then they'd hate it. Like, no.
And you touched on exactly it, because if my dad was like, hey, I would never have, you know, it's the same with the poem. They taught me the lessons, but I didn't touch it until I had a reason to want to, and it made a world of a difference. You got to find yourself. Yeah,
100%. Okay. That's it. We did it.
Hey, great job, Ren. Oh, wait. I was going to do that. There we go. Ren, thank you so much. You killed it as always. Fantastic job. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody. Wonderful questions.
Yes. Wonderful questions. Okay. Really quickly. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern, I'm hosting Creative Process Through the Lens of Malevolent with published authors from our fandom. Come learn how they did it and how you can too. Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, I'm hosting the third year of Fan Artist Mad Libs with Flea, Danny, and Milk, and that's going to be bonkers. And then Sunday at 11 a.m., I'm hosting the second year of Come Craft With Us, and Demelza is going to premiere a surprise new plushie, and everyone will want to be there, I promise. I don't think even Harlan knows what the plushie is.
I have a guess, but I'm not going to say it. I was and then for some sense. Like,
oh, okay,
what
yeah,
smell like, so I know that much. But
yeah, After this, Artist Alley is open. The Minecraft and Vein servers are already open. The costume contest is going to open, and the first round of games open up. And I will see you in the Great Old Ones live stream.
Yeah. For any Great Old Ones, on the Patreon, it is not going to be on the server. It's going to be just on Patreon. Joe and I are going to be on camera chatting, answering questions in chat. We're just going to be on camera, but you guys can hang out, get in your comfies.
But the chat's going to be in Discord still.
I don't know. Yes, probably. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But probably both.
There is a Patreon chat, but
we're going to figure it out together. But I will say this to anyone, I will be 5 minutes because I'm going to go say goodnight to my son and probably pee.
But that's just a maybe.
Just a maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
All right. We'll see everyone there. Thank you, Ren, once again. Thank you to everyone for the questions. Have an amazing con.
Yes.
So long.